What is going on, Secondhand Talent family? It's your boy Steiner here. As always, welcome to the one and only episode of season 4.5 of Secondhand Talent. And before I introduce our illustrious guests here that we have for this show, I just want to give a quick shout out to Luke Chu, the artist who created the lo-fi design here, and all of these little wonderful toys, the Ghost Bear head, the Boba Fett, everything you see here before you was designed by Luke Chu. He is going to be our featured artist this season, and these lo-fis are going to be the featured toy. So thank you, Luke. Thank you, Spoosta Studios, as always, for the wonderful shirts that we use for our wardrobe. And thank you, as always, to Tenacious Toys for supplying the desk candy. And folks, if it looks a little different, if you're watching on YouTube, that's because it does. We are switching to a different format for season 5, but enough about Secondhand Talent. We'll tell you all about that later. It's time to introduce our guests. We have with us returning guest, brother from the same mother, the illustrious Ben Boon, and his bandmate Curran Kiel. Boys, welcome to Secondhand Talent. And Benjamin, welcome back.
Thank you much. All right. This will be fun. This will be fun.
Yeah.
I'm ready to be grilled. No softballs.
Listen, Papa taught us how to grill. We gotta do it right. Benjamin, you've been here before. I call you Benjamin because we're brothers, but Ben, we'll call you colloquially. And you've been here before. Curran, you have not. And there's a typical question that we ask at the beginning of each show. It gets harder and harder as the seasons go by, and this is a bit of an interesting case because, you and I have known each other for so long, and, I've known my brother since he was born, and you two have known each other for far longer than I've known you. When Benjamin first told you about Secondhand Talent, say, hey, my brother's starting this podcast called Secondhand Talent, what did you think it was about?
I don't know. That was a long time ago.
If you had to put a reckoning to it, what do you do? Do you have any recollections of what your first, knowing me, I guess, but do you have any recollections of what your first reactions might have been?
I figured it would be, talking about music and the entertainment industry and what goes on within it.
Pretty succinct. Benjamin, your last answer, I went to the tape to go see what you had answered to that question back in season 2.
We're back in the day. What did I say? I forget.
Back in the day, and we had talked about the idea of things that are secondhand being just as good, and we talked a lot about the guitars that we grew up with in our house, and how that sometimes that tone and that sound is just maybe better. I don't know if is the right word, but it brings something with it in the tonality in addition to just the instrumentation of the instrument. And I guess I'm curious to ask, because I knew you forgot the question. Knowing what you know now, what do you think about Secondhand Talent as a concept?
Well, I think it's great. Listen, they need to hear my story. I need to put it out there. This is my shot. You're like the Piers Morgan of Riverside.fm.
In all seriousness, I appreciate it. It means a lot, that the family has been supportive of this and been a part of it. And speaking of which, we're going to get to why you two are on the show here today. So for those of you folks who haven't heard yet, I've been working with these two fine gentlemen here in their newest band, Boon and Kiel. They will be hitting the road just a few weeks after the time of this episode airs. They will be in Arizona, New Mexico, Kansas, Missouri, and Illinois. And if you would like to see them, leave a comment and let them know where.
Hopefully it's one of those 4 places, because that's where we're going. So,
but also, I put together the tour.
Yes.
small little factoid there, and we'll shout out a whole bunch of people along the way. But for folks who don't know, um, Curran first, and then Benjamin, what has brought you to this point? Give us a little synopsis of your musical journey.
So Ben and I have been playing together now for 10 years. We met in a band a long time ago. I had joined this band, and we were looking for a bassist at the time, and we found Ben on some strange little corner of the internet. And he flew out.
Pornhub.
Yeah,
I was gonna say that was Backpage before.
Yeah.
And
Gotta make a living.
he was living in Portland at the time, and flew out to audition for the band. We all loved him immediately, and we were in that band for about 3.5 years, and that first year and a half was pretty amazing, and then it turned weird and culty, and we just started doing everything except being a band, and started focusing on all these, side projects and stuff like that. And eventually we spoke up about how things were going and that we weren't happy with it, and so we were fired immediately. And from that day, we moved in together with another brother, Mayor. Shout out Mayor.
Shout out Mayor.
And started a band. We kind of started Boon and Kiel then, but then we also had a trio called Steiner Stuff, which you can still find that music. That was a really good time. And then, COVID happened, and things just got weird for everybody.
We had to stay in, though.
Yeah, we had to stay in, though.
Is that a shout out to one of the songs?
It is a shout out to one of your songs.
Yeah.
So
shout out to the Morrow twins for being a part of that one too. And
also
then,
great cameos in the Smile video.
Tons. If you know, you know.
Yeah, and then we just kind of started hitting the ground. We did we started as more of like an acoustic wedding private party cover band, always working on original music. And we tried different iterations. We brought in guitarists, bassists, and stuff like that. And eventually we were like, as great as those things were, and we played with some of the best musicians I've still heard to this day. But then eventually just decided, I think the 2-man band is the vibe. And we still jam with people sometimes, but the core of the band and the performing element of it is a duo, and it's been really cool.
I've always had a fondness for duos, but I don't know if you ever knew about this, but our aforementioned brother Mayor and I, for a short time, did a 2-man barbershop quartet, and it was quite fun. And I know that your journey, Benjamin, somewhat similarly mirrors what Curran had to say, because you were together for it. And I guess the question I would ask you is, at that time, when you two were fired for speaking up, and we don't need to go into the details of the situation. If you know, you know. But some things allegedly did or did not occur. But I also want to ask, was a part of your decision to branch out and do things like Boon and Kiel, do things like Steiner Stuff, were you feeling like you weren't being heard creatively in this outfit?
Ooh, my therapist asked me the same question. No, you mean in the original band that Curran and I met in? Is that what you're asking?
Well, in the band, because prior to, and correct me if I'm wrong, but prior to the two of you meeting, you were living, with Mayor in Portland, and and for our listeners who haven't heard Benjamin's previous interview in season 2, he's been playing music as long as I can remember. I became a comedian out of spite because I couldn't play as well as him. And I wanted to figure out a way to be in live music, and the persistence that you had when you were younger, practicing and picking things up, was always an inspiration. And Steiner Stuff, to me, I remember when that started, and that really felt like oh, this sounds like Benjamin, this sounds like May, or this sounds like Curran, this sounds like they're really reclaiming their voice. Was that a factor in in some of the moves you made?
I mean, realistically, I joined that band because I was broke, and that was an opportunity to make money, like that kind of thing. I think I've always, to me, getting my voice out, really, I just need songwriting. As long as I sit and write something and get the idea out, then I feel pretty, like that satisfies the creative itch or whatever it is. But it's fun being in a band, playing live music. And I think the original band that Kurt and I met in, uh, which was called Kai back in the day, just to make shorten that sentence to listen like more like a Voldemort kind of vibe. The band that must not be named, but like, like
Well,
I
it's kind of awkward.
no, who cares?
We'll bleep it out when you say it.
Yeah. I'm
No
gonna say
free press.
I'm gonna say the
They'll
band name
never
really
know.
long. So the band was Kai, or I'll make it sound the band was Kai, and then just bleep out that whole thing.
We're recording. I'll figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah,
That
folks
band no
are not.
longer exists, by the
Yeah,
way.
they no
That
longer exist, and God bless all the
fell
people.
apart.
They're all figuring out
Yeah.
life. Like no
Yeah.
water under the bridge, which is a phrase that I love because I love bridges. I love water. They're the best bridges. Okay, so
Huge bridges.
basically,
The act
huge
of
bridges.
observation,
Yeah.
watching the water under the bridge, it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, that was my Biden impression, by the way. Well, I thought you thought it
Water.
was something else.
It's flowing.
Yeah, but basically, I wanted to be in a band. I love playing live music. I love the energy, all that kind of stuff. And Curran's a great musician, great drummer. So I was like,
Yeah,
even
baby.
if that band ended, we should still, continue working on music and doing something that we love. I mean, life is short. You could either do something you love or you could not. And to me, I was going to do something I love. So it wasn't really creatively. It was more like how to spend my days. I think it was a wise choice. Still is.
Well, I recall coming out to San Diego, where you all are based, in 2014, and seeing the aforementioned band, and it was, one thing I was struck by was the musicianship, which, Benjamin, I've always known you to be a fastidious practicer. You always are always
I'm hella
noodling. You're
fastidious.
always and Curran, every percussionist I've known has always been much of the same way. And again, hearing some of the earlier Boon and Kiel stuff, and hearing a lot of the Steiner stuff, it really went a long way. And for folks who don't know, it was just Curran, Benjamin, and Mayer. So there was a trio there. So still pretty. We all heard that. Still pretty. Still pretty stripped down. And now even more so, on tracks like Lazy and I'm
Stars.
blanking on the other one, Stars. Wow, let me run that back. 3, 2, 1. On tracks like Lazy and Stars, the first two that you put out, it really does have that rawness to it, where it sounds kind of surf rocky. One of them, it sounds kind of poppy, and you have another one that's a little more slowed down, a little more hip hoppy. But it's just the two of you, and that's awesome from a you kind of control the narrative of your music perspective. But how does that impact the reality of having a band? Because yes, Benjamin, like you said, it's awesome to be in a band. It's awesome to play music, but part of being in a band is having a band, and there are a lot of responsibilities that come with that. And I guess my question is, after Sterner stuff stopped making music, when our brother moved back to the Midwest, what was it that pushed you guys to reform Boon and Kiel and start to, really gig hard under that name again, to the point where now we're talking about a tour? Because there's a lot of work that goes into, being a band, especially when it's just two of you?
It just has to be done. It's like it's a thing that just must happen. I think we've been sitting on this music for a long time, and it's funny, like mentioning "Lazy," which is the first song we released. The first day that I met Ben, that fateful day in 2014, he played me that song. It wasn't done yet. There was like a missing verse, but he played me that song, and I was like, "Oh, this guy's got the sauce."
Fourth.
And we would always kind of confide in each other during the less savory parts of that time, and we're like, if one of us leaves, like we gotta stick together. And I was just like, this is music that I would love to play. And that ended up being our first release under the name, which was kind of a cool, full circle moment of like, to me, it's like the ethos of the band a little bit is that song of, keep going hard, same old same, don't get lazy on me,
It
Yeah.
reminds me, or it reminded me a lot of another song of yours, Benjamin, which I haven't heard in a very long time. But Curran, kind of like you mentioned, hearing that song 10 years ago and having this feeling of like, oh wow, yeah, though this is music I wanna be a part of and I wanna help generate. I think of Main Character Dies,
Great song.
and
Throwback.
which is just one of my I still sing it to this day, and I have a video of Benjamin, of you and Mayor performing it on Mom's front porch. And you're absolutely right, Curran. It is music that sticks with you. And that's one of the things I love about it. And I want to turn this over to you, Benjamin. Um, how does it feel? I mean, getting these songs, because, you know, as long as you've been playing and I've been doing comedy, we've both been writing. We've been writing for years and years and years and years, and each of us has enough songs to create a catalog. Um, we'll clip that. Each of us, three,
Sorry,
two,
keep
one.
going.
Oh, you're good. Uh, each of us knows that you're a prodigious songwriter.
Hella
What is
prodigious. Sorry,
what
keep going.
what is it about the songs that you're releasing now that are the ones that, like, yeah, these are the ones that are going to come out as Boon and Kiel? Is there a particular method to the specific songs that you choose to have under that umbrella?
I think it's like Curran and I, we'll go through songs because we do some I write, we do some Curran writes. It's pretty like open ended. I think it's really based on just if we like the song and if we think people will like it. It's as simple as that. Like there's a ton of songs that we've both written that will probably never, you know, see the light of day as far as being recorded and released and all that stuff. Just because, like, there's a saying, the only way to write a great song is to write 10, shitty ones. Can I swear on this thing? Fuck
Yeah,
yeah.
you can say whatever the fuck you
Okay.
want.
All right.
Yeah.
Titties.
Poopy. Okay. Anyway, so we'll keep going. So yeah, Curran, don't say titties. That's no respectful. I think it's like we get in a room. We got this red room studio in beautiful San Diego, and we'll play through tunes. We got all of our stuff set up, and since we're a duo, it's actually very easy. I mean, there's challenges also, but it's very easy to kind of just go through and figure out, like, okay, which one do we think we can do and perform as a duo that actually makes sense and get the parts down. There's a complication because we want it to sound full, but we don't have a bass player or a keyboard player or nothing like that. So essentially, we have to kind of pick songs based on if they're good, if we think people will like them, and if we can organize the parts. Generally, what it is pretty much Curran plays drums and sings, and I play guitar and sing. Um, but I have a whole nifty pedal board situation. Wish I had it now because I would totally walk you through it. But essentially, I have two, like a channel switch where one goes to a guitar amp and one goes to a bass amp, and I get all these pedals and mishmash to create the different sounds. And then there's no looping. We do everything live, so it's all just you know, it's dependent on how good the song is and how doable the parts are live.
So now we're getting into the more secondhand talent part of it. Talking about your pedal board and the gear that you choose to use for this band, especially as we come up on the live production. Um, Curran, is that the same for you as well? That the gear that you choose for any given song is how full can I make it? How well can I arrange these parts to make it sound like it's more than a duo?
Yeah, definitely. I think Ben and I have always had a really good chemistry as far as um, like the improvisation of a lot of it is a big part. Like, the songs are structured, kind of pop centric, pop focused style songs, but then at any given moment we can just kind of take off. And something I've always liked as a drummer is, like, yes, it's a rhythm instrument, but I've always thought of it as more melodic than people give it credit for. So those kind of hooks and stuff that you would hear on drums. Um, I think of like old Black Keys, or because obviously they're a band now, like a
Well, I was
five-piece
gonna
band or
say we
whatever.
can go even further back to like the Star Shuffle, from the Beatles and being able to really move the mood of a song. I mean, and then, let's talk about Neil Peart, let's talk about Stuart Copeland.
Hmm.
I mean, these are, Stuart Copeland in particular is the drummer that I think about that can change the mood of a song, and playing behind an artist like Sting, that's so important. Or in Oysterhead with Les Claypool and Trey Anastasio, it's so important in that trio or duo or minimized setting in any aspect to be able to be that powerhouse that can drive melody in addition to the meter and the flow.
Hmm. Yeah. But yeah, just like those little things of like, finding a good beat for each song, but then adding those little flourishes that keep it interesting and kind of keep you guessing. And I just think of, there's so many songs that I think of where it's just like this little fill, like not big shreddy stuff, just like little simple stuff that is just such a, like, it really pushes the momentum, or it really excites you to land into the next section or something like that.
I
I think a
think
lot about that. Yeah.
just continuing on the Police, I think about the little break, the da 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 da, and every little thing she does is magic. And then right after, on the downbeat, after Sting starts singing, is when Stewart comes in with
Hmm.
it, and it makes such a that beat, waiting that extra beat makes such a huge difference in the feeling of the song. Like, you're absolutely right. I mean, and again, back to Copeland, he's my kind of my North Star for this. Um, Sterner Stuff was also a self-directed outfit. It's you guys produced all your own videos, made all your own merch. I know Boon and Kiel is a little the same way. What's it like being just a two-person band and having to deal with now some of the logistical elements of being a band? Because like we mentioned before, it's not just the uh, getting on stage and playing music. There's unfortunately a lot of background to it. There's a
That's
lot
like
of
10% of it. Yeah.
yeah, that's what I was getting to. So how have you been managing the other 90%?
What's nice, and obviously Ben and I are both, busy running our own businesses and working a lot and stuff like that. But what is nice about it is that we are very lean, and so there's like less moving parts to fight with. If you have a 3, 4, 5, 7-piece band or whatever, that's a lot of people's schedules that you got to line up. Um, so it's nice that we can just make decisions as partners. It's everything's 50-50. And I just think that keeps it nice and easy.
I think that's an interesting perspective because to me, when I think about, there being more members or it being a duo, for all the interviews I've done in the show and all my experience on the secondhand talent side of the stage in my career, when I think about it being a two-man opera, I think, oh man, that's just so much more work that can't be divided up amongst more people. Because when I talk to, a lot of my friends who are in, I'm more in the jam band scene, who are, 4 people, 5 people, okay, the keyboardist does merch and booking, and the bassist does social media. And so to me, it's really interesting to hear you say that, because my initial reaction is like, oh, it's just the two of you. Like, how do you guys manage, like you mentioned, running your own businesses as well, in addition to getting the nuts and bolts of it screwed down tight?
Yeah, I mean, that with anything, there's a pros and cons. I think it's like musically, scheduling wise, it's easier for us to manage it with a small team. There's obviously drawbacks, like some songs can't happen because they would just require too much stuff. They just need things that we can't do. For example, like a counter melody or something like that. If we're not live looping or doing anything like that, then we have to really figure out how do we do this live. And then there are things like technical stuff, like scheduling and not scheduling, but booking and social media, yada yada, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's hard, but at the end of the day, it's kind of like um, I think we both experienced being in a 5-person band and seeing how like it really is outfit dependent. What you're in is going to dictate like who's getting what done and how much trust there is in like the movement of the project. So for us, it just ended up working. Smaller was easier.
Your previous band, Sterner Stuff, and the band before that where you met, now, you guys have gigged a lot, but it's been largely contained to, I don't want to say the San Diego area, but it's been relatively West Coast bound, with a couple of exceptions and travel dates here and there. And a month or so from the time of this taping, 6 weeks from the time of this taping, a week after this airs, you all will be embarking on a tour. On
Yeah,
a
baby.
tour,
Yeah.
boys. On a tour. Unofficially called the Cold Call Tour, and we'll get to that in just a minute. But what was the change for you? What was the change for you for Boon and Kiel at this juncture? Because you had mentioned, and correct me if I'm wrong, that it's a project that you all had started several years ago.
2018.
Yeah.
So why the reprisal, and why tour? Why put in the effort and the money and all of that other stuff that goes into it to go on the road? What's different this time?
Lost you,
You're
Ben.
you're muted. Yeah.
How do I?
There you go.
Am I back? Hello?
Yes. Yes.
That was a test, and you all passed. Good job. Good job. Good job. All right. So I'm just
So what's
making sure.
different? What's
Yeah.
different about Boon and Kiel? Or I'm gonna ready. 3, 2. What's different about Boon and Kiel compared to Sterner Stuff and the band before that makes you want to get out on the road with the name? What's different about it now that now you feel like now's the time to take this band on the road?
I mean, my answer to it is kind of two-part. One, I think the music is good. I think Curran and I do a great live show. And then two, there was just some opportunities that came up that put us in a situation where we're going to hit the road anyway, you know. So we figured, might as well try to set up a tour, do some stops along the way, and it kind of blossomed from, oh, maybe we'll stop somewhere here, there, to like kind of a full out tour, which is great.
Yep.
But it was very much a mix of uh, something we love doing anyway, and like we've always wanted to do it, and then the opportunity that we knew we were going to go somewhere, so might as well make the most of this trip, in my opinion.
And the irony of it that the show that launched the tour has been canceled due to external factors.
So to
Yes.
fill folks,
Yeah.
just to fill folks in on a little context here. So our uncle, who is the drummer for our theme song, Shoot the Cool, Lonely Moans, they were going to do a reunion gig in a few weeks from the time of this airing. That is not going to happen. And imagine my surprise on January 2nd, very early to put this on my never thought it would happen bingo card. I get a call from Benjamin who says, "Let's talk business." And I said, what business is there is there to, like, what's going on? And he said, well, we're coming out to Chicago to play with Sam for the Lonely Moans show, and we could either fly in and do the gig, or we figured maybe if you could help, book some shows along the way, that we could, drive out there and bring Boon and Kiel on the road. Now, dear viewers and listeners, I have done a lot of things in my career as secondhand talent, but I had never booked a band, and I had never been a tour manager. And within a couple of weeks, and I just want to pause right here and give a massive shout out to the entire secondhand talent family, all of our guests, past, present, and future, the third hand talent, all of our fans, all the people who have been listening and viewing and interacting with us over the last 2 years. It's been an incredible journey, and I joke that I call it the cold call tour in my head, because this was a tour that was stitched together solely with the grace of all of the amazing people who have been on this show. And it does also harken back, though, to another thing you said, Benjamin. The music is good. The music is good, and you're my brother, and I love you, and I know you'll understand when I say this, that even though you're my brother, I wouldn't have agreed to work with you if I didn't like the music,
I'm insulted. No, I'm kidding.
Well,
Yeah.
I remember hearing the first couple of tracks. I was like, yeah, no, I spin this, and I texted you about it when it came out, and I was very grateful, and am very grateful that you both decided to give me the call, and I'm incredibly proud of what we've put together, folks. May 8th, Boon and Kiel is going to be at Darkside in Tempe. May 9th, they're going to be opening for Hypervisor at Focal in Scottsdale. May 10th, they'll be in Santa Fe, to be announced. May 11th, they will be at Replay in Lawrence, Kansas. May 12th, they will be at Yellow House in West Plains, Missouri. And then they'll be coming to Chicago to do a few odds and ends. It's been a joy. Can I ask why you called me?
Well, first off,
or Curran, why did you sign off on that?
I mean,
I trust,
Curran,
I trust Ben. Yeah. And he said that
terrible idea.
you have the connections to potentially make this happen for us. So
Yeah, the connections, the know-how, got the work ethic on it. So I think it was like, why not work with like family and like do something like that, then try to like bring someone on. Maybe I don't know how they're gonna handle things or something like this. And I think all in all, at the end of the day, a lot of times things are just a shot in the dark, and then you never know if something's going to work. And in this case, it really did work. And now, based on how the tour goes, we'll see like how things move going forward. But all in all, like I was really impressed with just how fast everything was coming together, and excellent job on that. You know,
Yeah, we're very
it's good
grateful.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I'll be the first to say it. I'm just as surprised as the two of you. I mean, I never thought that I wouldn't be able to do it. But yeah, like you just said, the fact that it came together so quickly and that folks were so helpful and so responsive. There's too many people to name, and I don't want to leave anybody out. But thank you to everybody who's helped facilitate this and get this get this thing together. It's really incredible to me here as we wind down season 4.5 of Secondhand Talent. To kind of reflect on where we're at. This is our 79th episode, and we've been going on for a little over 2 years. We've got downloads all over the world on audio streams. We've got views all over the world on YouTube. We have people writing in and commenting and talking about it, and it feels really good to be able to actually move into other parts of live music, and especially with my brothers from both the same and another mother, and to be on this ride together. It's been an immense amount of fun, and I wouldn't and I'm really grateful that my first tour management experience is coming, working with Boon and Kiel.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, dude. Likewise.
Well, folks, that's all the time we have for this season. We are signing off now. We got to get ready for this tour. Check out Boon and Kiel on tour. Dates and tickets and information and all those links and stuff will be in the description for Secondhand Talent. This is Steiner. We will see you in season motherfucking 5.
Season 5.
Yeah.
Season 5.
And that is clearly the signal that time is up. Folks, for Steiner, this is Secondhand Talent. That's Boon. That's Kiel. Go see Boon and Kiel. That's a podcast.
That's a podcast. All right. Hell yeah,
All
dude.
right.
Hell
There you
yeah.
go. Yeah.
Let me just
That was
stretch it
fun.
out. Yeah, that was fun. That was fun.